The most educated, the most overlooked. Why Black women are done waiting for permission. I want to tell you about someone who stopped me in my tracks, someone who has made it her life's mission to dismantle the invisible architecture that keeps Black women locked out of the rooms where decisions are made, wealth is built, and legacies are created. Her name is Nena DeLeón, and she is a force of nature. Nena is a truth teller who refuses to let the world forget that the most educated demographic in America, Black women, is also the most overlooked, the most exhausted, and the most ready for a revolution. What Nena shared with me isn't just data, it's a reckoning. And today I'm going to share what she taught me. Because if we don't talk about this, if we don't face this, we are complicit in a system that is failing the very people it claims to value. Here's what we've been told our entire lives: education equals opportunity, hard work equals advancement. Show up, lean in, give everything you've got, and the system will reward you. For Black women, the most educated group in the United States, that belief has been a lifeline, a promise, a reason to keep going. But here's the truth Nena shared with me, and it should shake every single one of us to our core. Despite being the most educated, Black women face what researchers call the broken rung. For every 100 men promoted to first line management, only 60 Black women make it. 60, not 95, not 80, 60. Let that sink in for a moment. And while companies were loudly championing diversity, equity, and inclusion just a few years ago, today, only 50% of them still prioritize women's advancement. That number was 70% right after the pandemic. So, what happened? The world moved on. The urgency faded, the performative allyship dissolved, and Black women were left holding the bag, doing the labor, carrying the culture, managing the emotions of entire organizations, and getting none of the return, none of the promotions, none of the recognition, none of the wealth. This is not an ambition gap. Let me say that again, louder for the people in the back. This is not an ambition gap. Black women are not less driven, less capable, or less committed. The gap is in the system, the gap is in the structures that promise equity but deliver exhaustion. The gap is in the rooms where decisions are made without them, the promotions that go to someone else, the high impact assignments that never land on their desks. And Nena made it painfully clear this is not just unfair, it's unsustainable. Because when you ask the most educated, most capable people to keep giving without receiving, eventually they stop giving. They leave. They pivot. They build their own tables. And corporate America is bleeding talent because of it. Let me tell you about Regina Wallace Jones. Regina was a Black woman executive leading Salesforce's racial equity division. She was one of the few Black women in a tech C suite, navigating a world where she was often the only one who looked like her in the room. And when corporate America started quietly rolling back DEI commitments in 2025, Regina felt it in her bones. She faced isolation. She faced the crushing pressure of being the token leader, the one expected to fix everything, to speak for everyone, to carry the entire weight of racial equity on her shoulders while being given no real authority to make change. She faced what so many Black women face: disproportionate exit pressures under restructuring, burnout from unrecognized culture management, and the exhausting reality of doing managerial work that no one ever acknowledges, celebrates, or compensates. But Regina didn't just survive, she refused. She refused to keep playing a game that was rigged against her from the start. She pursued sponsorship, not mentorship. She demanded high impact assignments that came with real decision making power, real visibility, real authority. And when the corporate world failed her, when it became clear that the system was never going to change fast enough, she turned to entrepreneurship. She built sustainable leadership paths through certification programs. She created her own table. Regina's story is not just about resilience, It's about refusal, a refusal to keep begging for scraps from a system that was never designed to feed her. And then there's Angela Alexander, the executive director of the North Central Texas Regional Certification Agency. Angela has witnessed what she calls the quiet C suite purges of Black women. She's seen how DEI initiatives, which were supposed to benefit all women, disproportionately benefited white women while leaving Black women behind. She's seen the wage disparities, the underfunding of Black women owned businesses despite their ingenuity and resilience, and the structural barriers that make it nearly impossible for Black women to access the same resources, the same networks, the same opportunities as everyone else. But Angela didn't just witness it, she refused to be a passive observer. She did something about it. Angela advocated for structural commitments, for sponsorship over mentorship, for flexibility that actually rewards ambition instead of punishing it. She led certification efforts for minority owned businesses, creating scalable entrepreneurship routes that bypass the biased corporate pipelines altogether. Angela's work is a reminder that when the system won't change, when the doors remain locked, you don't keep knocking. You build a new door. You create a new path. You refuse to wait for permission from people who were never going to give it to you anyway. Now, let's talk about what Nena called the burnout ceiling. According to McKinsey's 2026 Women in the Workplace report, 60% of senior women experience frequent burnout. But for senior Black women, that number jumps to 77%. 77%. Think about that for a moment. 3 out of 4 Black women in senior leadership roles are burning out, not because they can't handle the work, but because they're doing everyone else's work too. They're managing the culture, they're mentoring the next generation, they're leading DEI initiatives on top of their actual jobs. They're the ones smoothing over conflicts, translating between worlds, code switching in meetings, and holding space for everyone else's emotions while their own go unacknowledged. And they're doing it all while being isolated, tokenized, and passed over for the promotions and recognition they deserve. This isn't just a retention risk, this is a crisis. And companies that ignore it, companies that keep asking Black women to do more with less, to give more and receive nothing, are losing their most innovative, most capable, most visionary leaders. And they don't even realize it until it's too late. Here's what Nena taught me, and it's something I need you to really hear. The solution is not more mentorship. Mentorship is advice. Mentorship is coffee meetings and pep talks and someone telling you to hang in there, to be patient, to wait your turn. And while mentorship has its place, it doesn't open doors. It doesn't give you authority. It doesn't put you in the room where decisions are made. What Black women need is sponsorship. Sponsorship is someone with power using that power to advocate for you, to put your name forward for high impact assignments, to make sure you're not just in the room, but that you have a seat at the table and a voice that's heard and respected. Sponsorship is what breaks the broken rung. Sponsorship is what turns constrained ambition into leadership gains. And sponsorship is what companies must commit to if they want to retain the talent they claim to value. But here's the other truth Nena shared, and it's one that's both heartbreaking and empowering. Black women are done waiting. They're done hoping that the next restructuring won't disproportionately target them. They're done believing that if they just work a little harder, stay a little longer, give a little more, sacrifice a little more of themselves, the system will finally reward them, because the data tells a different story. Black women's employment to population ratio dropped from 59.4% to 57.8% between 2024 and 2025. Unemployment for Black women rose to 6.3%. Some economists are calling it a Black recession. And while companies are scaling back their commitments to women of color, with only 46% now prioritizing their advancement, Black women are making a different choice. They're choosing themselves. They're channeling their ambition, their education, their brilliance, their resilience into certified minority owned businesses. They're building wealth on their own terms. They're creating paths that don't require permission from systems that were never designed to include them in the first place. They're saying, if you won't open the door, I'll build my own house. And that house will have room for everyone who was left outside with me. And this is where the soft girl era comes in. Because what Nena's talking about, what Regina and Angela are modeling, is not just about breaking barriers, it's about breaking chains. It's about refusing to carry the cape of the superwoman who does everything for everyone and nothing for herself. It's about saying no without guilt, setting boundaries without apology, and resting without explanation. It's about recognizing that softness is not weakness. Softness is the radical act of choosing yourself after a lifetime of being told to choose everyone else first. It's about healing in real time, protecting your peace as a practice, and turning survival into something sacred. So here's my question for you, and it's the question Nena left me with. What if breaking your own chains through sponsorship demands, entrepreneurial certification, or sharing your full story as a legacy for your children turns 2026's regressions into your greatest launch pad? What if the systems that failed you are actually the catalyst for you building something that can never fail your daughters, your nieces, your community? What if your soft girl era is not about doing less, but about doing what matters on your terms, with your voice, unapologetically, fiercely, and without asking for permission? Here's what I want you to commit to today, right now, before you leave this space. Identify one sponsor, not a mentor, a sponsor, someone with real power who can open real doors, who can advocate for you in rooms you're not in yet, who can put your name on the list for opportunities you didn't even know existed. If you're an entrepreneur, certify your venture. Get the credentials, the networks, the resources that will help you bypass the biased pipelines that were designed to keep you out. And if you're ready to leave a legacy, journal your unfiltered journey. Write down the parts of your story that feel embarrassing, the parts that feel too raw, the parts you've been hiding because you thought no one would understand. Because those are the parts that will set someone else free. Those are the parts that will show your children, your nieces, the next generation of Black women, what it looks like to choose yourself, to break chains, to walk into your 40s, your 50s, your 60s with your head high and your heart soft. Nena DeLeón reminded me that the most educated demographic in America is also the most ready for a revolution. And that revolution doesn't start with waiting for systems to change. It doesn't start with hoping that next year will be different. It starts with you. It starts with demanding sponsorship, building your own table, and choosing softness as your superpower. It starts with recognizing that your ambition is not the problem. The systems that refuse to reward it are. And it starts with you deciding today that you're done playing by rules that were never written for you to win. So here's to the Black women who are tired of being strong for everyone else. Here's to the ones who are ready to be soft for themselves. Here's to the ones who are building, creating, leading, and thriving on their own terms. Here's to the ones who refuse to wait for permission. And here's to Nena DeLeón for reminding us that the most powerful thing we can do is tell the truth, break the chains, and leave a legacy that changes everything for the ones coming behind us. The question is not whether you're ready. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because the world is not going to hand you what you deserve, but you have the power to take it, to build it, to create it, and that power has always been yours. It's time to use it.